Good evening, everyone. You're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for round number 5 of ILR6 here at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain. My name is Graham, and I'm going to do my best to help bring the action tonight from a track where action can be up and down, it has to be said. But hopefully, the guys here tonight will give us a good race with lots of action, lots of excitement, different strategies, because there are certainly a few different options available to you on this circuit. And we will see how it goes. So we can see, I believe Jacko and I believe the other Toro Rosso furthest on the track is Morris Minor. So we'll stick with them for the time being. Actually go with Jacko, he's further ahead as he gears up for his first qualifying lap. So very quickly go over the tables, the standings very quick. Antatak leading the way on 49 points. Pinsky, the Finn in the Force India in second, having taken race victory last time out in Azerbaijan, 43 points, and just behind them is Alex. He's on 39 points, and just a further point behind him is Mr. Crumpet in the Ferrari in fourth. And for the constructors, it's very, very tasty at the moment. Ferrari on 55 points, 51 points. Then next up is Red Bull, and then Force India on 44 in third. And that's where things kind of stand at the moment in terms of the title battle, but of course it's still very, very early. A lot of time for things to go wrong. We'll go back with Morris Minor because actually he is further along the track than Jacko, so Jacko must have had mistakes somewhere and possibly invalidated his lap or ruined his lap in some regard. There are a couple of areas of the track where you can do that. And what a fantastic start. Where is Plays? Disqualified face on the right. Oh, there's a Toro Rosso. Oh, I just saw in the background. Pro Opa is out of qualifying. You probably just saw it there a second ago, just as I was switching to the disqualified McLaren of Plays. So there you go then. As the lap times come in thick and fast. What was I saying about Morris Minor being the furthest car further along? That's Pinsky. Looks like he set a very quick time. 1:18.1 on softs. So you can see through the field there's a lot of different strategies going on. Some people choosing softs, others super softs. In reality, neither is a fantastic tyre, it has to be said, for the race. Super softs, good luck getting those 8 laps into this race. And the softs won't be a ton better for much longer. It is the medium tyre here which is the best tyre of the bunch in the race. But of course no one will be starting on that tyre inside the top 10, as John is out of the session. So I'm not sure where John's lost it. In terms of places where you can lose the car, I think the most dangerous part of the track, I think, for everyone is, I believe it is turn 9, the fast right-hander as you end sector 2. So it's the second DRS straight. Turn 7 and 8 you can stuff up pretty poorly as well. That'll put you in the wall. And it is raining. It is raining right now, so no wonder people were quick to get out. But you can see the rain actually falling, so this is going to be a very, very short qualifying session in terms of sprints to the pole position. Because tell you what, very, very quickly this track will no longer be able to improve at all. Maybe that's why people are tired, because they knew the rain was coming. And they knew they weren't going to improve. Well, apart from Pro Opa, we saw his car spin off somewhere. So that is going to give us a right mixed up grid then, isn't it? Very interesting indeed. Pinsky then got the quickest lap in on the softs. And the DRS is disabled, so this rain has come down thick and fast. And now, good luck to anyone trying to improve at this stage. It is absolutely pouring down, so hopefully the guys will realise that they need to retire, because otherwise we're going to be here for the next 10 minutes with literally nothing to do. Because there is no way anyone can improve now on this set that they're currently on. Absolutely none. You can see this, it got wet so quickly. It absolutely poured down. 3 minutes ago, not a bother, but now completely undrivable with dry tires. So in they come. Rixie is going to come out on a set of inters, and for the reason, oh, he's lost it though. He's lost the back end, so the conditions extremely difficult. There's a car off the track or something. Is that Fernandez, or it's Mr. Crumpet rather? So conditions are absolutely appalling, and drivers are struggling. I was gonna say it'd be worth Rixie actually doing a lap, because he actually hasn't set a lap time, and oh, you can see the conditions. Look at this absolute mess. The two Ferraris struggling for all their worth, and Mr. Crumpet's got a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Rixie. So, but why have they decided to go out on softs on a wet track? This is his outlap, and he's, oh, what are the Ferraris doing? Both of them coming together. This is crazy. This is crazy. Absolute nonsense. Wow, that is quite incredible. Jacko, I think, will be absolutely fuming. But it begs the question why they came out. Because you can see, look, on the telemetry it says outlap. So why would they come out on, other than a mistake? I'm not quite sure I get it. But on the outlap is crazy, Rob. On inters, Rixie still circulating with a damaged wing on inters. Everyone else either should be in the pits or retire from the session. And oh, there goes Rob. He's gone round on the exit of turn 10. So conditions really are proving extremely difficult, and he retires from the session then. I'm not sure what the point is, to be honest. If you're Jacko, if you're Crumpet, just come in the pits, please. Oh, another collision then into the pit lane between the two Ferraris. This is absolutely insane. Absolute insanity. Will Jacko be disqualified for facing the wrong way or blocking the pit lane? Don't think so, but his teammate, I don't know what they're playing at. But absolute scenes as the last car comes into the pits. So as they queue up then to get in. So that looks like it's it for qualifying. Is anyone coming out on an outlap? I see one car exiting the pits and a few other cars too. So we're not quite done yet. Rixie has gone out on a set of inters. Dogs has also gone out on a set of inters, and that makes sense. That makes sense because they have not set a lap time. There's Baza. Baza's coming out as well. Baza, if he lets the races wet and just wants to get extra practice in wet conditions, then sure, I guess. Otherwise, though, he's not really going to improve on a 19.8, whereas likes of Dogs and Rixie, they can only improve because they haven't actually set a lap time. As Pinsky retires, so it makes no sense for any of these guys to not retire if you're not coming out again, because there's no way the track is going to improve from here. In fact, it can only get worse, really. But for the two guys on the inters who not set a lap time, let's see, because anyone that I have seen on the inter so far hasn't even kept it out the wall, so it's a tall order. But let's see. But the only thing that we can do now at this stage, because I mean, pole's decided, basically. Pinsky's going to be on pole, ahead of Morris Minor, ahead of Danskar, for the top three. You know, that's... it's just nothing's going to change that. So, you can see an interesting grid, because you have to see Murdoch make his way up through the field as well. He's put on inters as well, kind of trying to set a lap, but he can really only get as high as P16 or so. Here we go then. We'll go with Dogs, because he's the furthest along forward on this tyre. Although Baza is right behind him. Of course I should change that to Fitted, shouldn't I? So down towards turn 1 then. It's slippery, but not too bad. Not too bad at all in wet conditions. Car really want to drift out through turn 3, but decent car control from Dogs. This has been a clean sector so far. As he swoops through turn 4, back end one to step out. He'll do that to you in the dry as well, and the understeer is taking him off the track. Either that or he just want to get out of Baza's way. So Baza will continue on then through turn 7 and through turn 8. Up the hill he climbs, and yeah, didn't want to take turn 9 flat out in the dry. That's a tall order as well. You'd have to be running an incredibly high amount of downforce to try that. Does a decent job slowing the car down in time for turn 10. Difficult braking zone, and up the hill again of 11. Clip that curb and you will be spat out. Baza lucky that curb didn't throw him round. Down the hill into the controversial chicane. Many don't like it. It's growing on me personally, to be fair. Out of turn 16. Car again back in on the drift out wide. Baza's going to come across and set a 30.6. And arguably we're close to wet conditions at this stage. 10 seconds off the time. That's close to wet territory. This Dogs is on a 36.9, Rixie a 34.3. So we're 16 seconds off of the pole time. So that kind of shows you how quickly this track has deteriorated, and how probably wet tyres would probably be the tyre to be on at this stage. But of course no one's going to really take that plunge now. So they've set their lap times. Murdoch's come back into the pit, so whatever happened to him on his out lap, he has come back. And no, there no, he's not. There he is. Okay, so he's actually just come back into the pits. And his teammate then will probably continue for another lap, will he? Not sure. As Crumpush has done, of course he did his time in the dry, so no improvements. There's no improvements we had anywhere. There really isn't. It's just a waiting game. Where we wait 3 minutes for drivers to retire. I mean, what do you want me to say? And we just see Crumpush, who's had, it's honestly the pair. Oh, there's a Williams off. That's Rixie, I believe. So he's in the wall. Don't know if that was on purpose or not. Probably not, given the conditions. But I'm not sure what the two Ferraris were at earlier. And Crumpush continues to take some interesting lines, taking that section of the track. As Jacko is still struggling. He's just come out of the pits and is really struggling. So just 3 drivers now left to retire, and hopefully we can do that before time expires. This is ludicrous from Crumpush. Absolutely insane. Just appalling driving. I know it's qualifying, but it's just terrible. I mean, it really is. And that is all the runners off the track, and I don't blame them, but we shouldn't be here. Minute and a half to go, and frankly, the sooner we can get started with this race, the better. Just 3 drivers left to retire. Hopefully they can get on with it and we can get racing, rather than sitting here for the next minute 15 seconds looking at a very, 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 very wet pit lane. So and I'm told that the Ferrari disaster is orchestrated for viewing entertainment. Well, thank you very much. That explains an awful lot. That explains an awful lot. Well, there certainly could be something to talk about when this was going on. So, cheers, lads. I appreciate it. Context is important. But 35 more seconds, and we can wrap up here and begin the race. It's going to be Pinsky on pole position on soft, so he's looking in a fantastic spot for another really good result. And possibly the lead in the championship, because Ant isn't here today. So he's the only driver, in fact, that isn't here today. There's a few reserves, of course, but... Should we do the ball drop like we do with New Year's Eve? With the countdown below 10? Nah, we won't. All I can say is thank you. Right, excellent. So, that is qualifying concluded. Very wet qualifying, very quick qualifying concluded. The weather did come into effect very, very quickly once it came down, but it is Pinsky on pole, by over second to Morris Minor. Danskar in third, Alex fourth, Smudge fifth, Baza sixth, Reese seventh, Jacko eighth, Insane Rampage ninth, Judge 10th, John 11th, Crumpet 12th, Rob 13th, Pro up at 14th, Fernandez 15th, Rixie 16th, Dogs 17th, Murdoch 18th, and Plays in 19th. Although Crumpet, worth mentioning, has got a 5-place grid penalty, so that little show with his teammate has unfortunately cost him a few positions. He'll be starting near the back, I'm afraid. Remains to be seen what kind of session we will have. Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be wet? I would not mind a wet race personally. Excuse me. I had to get the last bit of tea in before we started. It is a dry race. Sun is shining. So that is good to know. So we're going to see some interesting strategies, I think, here today. Starting from the front. And the guys on the supers. We shall see how it all works out. My suspicion is not too well. Because you really want to be taking those softs for 13 laps or so. Upon the same mediums with the supers, you're really into two-stop territory if you can't nurse your tires. A set of mediums can, and I've seen that happen, you can get a set of mediums from lap 5 or so to the end of the race, but you are susceptible to those on a two-stop because the tire wear will be that extreme. But away they go on their formation lap, and right then, interesting choices, as we've got 2 disqualifications from the formation lap already. So Pinsky, obviously, so everyone inside the top 10 qualified on these tires. So Pinsky, Alex, Smudge, Baza, Judge, all qualified on these softs. Rob, Pro Opa, Fernandez, Rixie, Dogs, Crumpet, Murdoch, Plays, every single one of them outside the top 10, bar John, has chosen the soft compound tire. No one has chosen the hardest medium tire, which is interesting because running long definitely has its advantages around here. The overcut can be quite strong, but John, then, interesting choice to go on supers. He's going to have to hope to make up some positions at the start. His trouble is that there's only one soft runner in front of him, in his immediate front. Everyone else is behind. So really, the advantage of having the super soft tire is basically nullified immediately, because one of the big reasons to use possibly a soft tire, a softer compound tire outside the top 10, is that you can get a bit more off the line, a bit more bite off the line and make up a few positions. And I'm not saying John can't, but it's a little bit odd that he's the only one outside the top 10 to select a super soft tire. So Pinsky then, can he go for 2 in a row? At the front, can Morris or Danskar jump him off the line? 33 laps to find out the fate of the Spanish Grand Prix. As they form up, it'll be a quick blast. Before you know it, it'll be over, and the start is the same. Let's go on board with Danskar in third. Get a nice view of the immediate start. As Plays lines up, we'll go on board with his teammate then. Round number 5 of Inside Line Racing from Spain. Is go. Very, very quick start. Looks like a very good start for Morris and for Danskar, who's short shifting. And Morris going to be up the inside of Pinsky into turn 1. Pinsky will have the race in line. There's 3 wide at the back. There's the Ferrari and a Red Bull. And Danskar trying to go around the outside, and then because the inside for turn 2, or turn 3 rather, and he's got through. Then we got Insane Rampage going extremely wide. He's going to spin the car. So he is round. Oh, and it's been a massive accident. Pro Opa has absolutely T-boned into the side of Insane Rampage. There are 3 retirements as Rixie's out as well. And absolute carnage. The virtual safety car has been deployed. Well, I can't say I didn't see that coming after the spin. The judge, lucky to survive that. Absolute carnage to begin. And really, I'm not sure if that could have been avoided by Pro Opa. But absolute carnage to begin. Well, if you notice the super soft runners, every single one of them, well, most of them, Morris Minor gained a place, Danskar gained a place, and John already up to 6th place. So I talked about John. He didn't have too many soft runners immediately in front of him, just the one in the 2 positions in front of him. He's made up an enormous amount of places already. He's up to 6th already on those supers, so it's definitely paid off for him as Pinsky is caught napping a bit. Very, very wide. That's the fend now from Baza. We are underway. Virtual safety car has come to a close. And it's under pressure from Baza behind. Understeers wide. Smudge will be right there. Oh, and it's been another collision. Baza is into the wall. Oh, he's going to be so careful not to... Yeah, the drivers are avoiding him, but absolutely crazy restart. Once again, there's carnage unfolding as Danskar right behind Morris. Got a number of people in the pits already, so looks like there's a bit of desync involved after Baza ran wide, with Smudge possibly going to the back of him. And look at these two, the front 2, Danskar trying to find a way past that Toro Rosso, the sole Toro Rosso that is remaining. And John around the outside. Is he done of Smudge? That's an excellent move by John. And John continues his meteoric rise into 4th place, but meanwhile at the front, he is hustling and hounding that Toro Rosso. And he's got a fantastic run out of turn 9. Down the inside goes Danskar. Can he make the move down the inside? Runs a bit wide, has he? But he's kept the position. And that is Danskar into the lead of this race. And now, how far can he stretch away from Pinsky? Of course, soon, very, very soon, those soft tyres will be the ones to be on. And the guys at the front will want to trade those supers in very, very quickly. Further down the field, we've got Mr. Crumpus, who's got a damaged front wing, trying to hound Smudge, and he's had a difficult exit coming out of turn 16. Marsman getting very, very close to Danskar. And Murdoch can't quite find a way through Rob heading into turn 1, so it's tightly packed as Pinsky on the soft tyres trying to drive around the outside of turn 3. Can't get anything going through turn 4. A good run here would set him up for a move down turn 5. Has a sniff, but thinks better of going down the inside as Crumpets got by Smudge, and Smudge is missing a lot more of his front wing, so that's a problem. And so is Plays, so all those 5th, 6th and 7th are all missing segments of their front wing. And down the inside, oh, he thought about it, did Pinsky. He thought about a move heading into turn 9. The inside is a better overtaking spot though. DRS down the inside of turn 10. He hugs the apex. Can he get the move done? He does. And Pinsky then moves back into P2. This Gaglow car surely be joined by Rob soon, who's got a full complement of front wing, whereas these 3 are really struggling with the wing damage they currently have. And John's going to actually catch up to this battle as well, so John on the fringes of a podium. Didn't think I'd be saying that after he started in 11th, but he's had a fantastic start and he has set the fastest lap of the race as Smudge dives into the pits to replace that front wing. He's the only one out of this bunch rather to give that a go. Meanwhile, Murdoch going down the inside of Rob into turn 1. Very nice move. Moves up into P7 as John hounding that Toro Rosso. Of course, the key difference here is, yes, their tyres are 3 laps old, but this is a brand new set, I believe, for John. of supers, whereas Morris, a little older, haven't done a qualifying lap or two. We'll stick on board with this one though, because I think you're going to see a change very, very soon. Runs a bit wide, has to get off the throttle, so his exit's compromised. He may not get a chance to have a look down the inside, and he's left a lot of space, to be fair, an awful lot of space. That was very, very sporting. Oh, almost gets taken, collected, but luckily for John, no damage sustained at this moment. As Pinsky getting very, very close now, so I think we're beginning to see the supers there. if a tire is a dog, every dog has its day, and just there goes John ahead of Morris, because Morris has jumped into the pits. Meanwhile, Pinsky's gone down the inside, a very easy move in the end for Pinsky with the DRS, and he moves back into the lead. And those supers have had their day, and it can only get worse from here on out. And Pinsky now is the important part of the race. He needs to really extend his advantage with that better tyre over the super, because soon that soft, or I should say extend his time on those softs over the super, because that soft soon won't be a ton better. The carcass temperature does like to rise high on those softs despite being the middle compound, so he's got to stretch his advantage, and already 1.2 seconds ahead of Danskar, so he's making the most of it while he can. So further down the field, a nice little battle. Of course, we know Crumpet, Plays, they all have wing damage. You can see again Plays kicking up a wheel on the gravel, and there's a couple of other cars like Rob and Dogs are all coming to close proximity, so I think sooner rather than later we are going to see some action at this end of the field as the damage sustained here by Crumpet and Plays begins to catch up, and as the tyres fade, so too will their chances of keeping those positions. Danskar comes into the pits, and John also dives into the pits as Pinsky now, he realises this is hammer time, and he's set the fastest lap of the race, so it is go 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 at the front. As Murdoch has left the session, so he's disconnected. It's a shame for him. Any overtakes happening here. Dogs with a great low speed, but can't get by the Red Bull on this occasion. Now then, Danskar emerges from the pits. Oh, there's going to be a Mercedes. Baz is going to be very, very close. He's going to get ahead though, and where's John going to rejoin? The gap wasn't too far, but John... Oh, there's a car off the track. It's Rob. He's missing part of his front wing, so I can only assume there's been some sort of contact. Did Murdoch rejoin? He didn't rejoin, so that wasn't the cause of that accident. And now Rob has to limp home. Excuse me, he has to limp back to the pits with a very, very damaged wing, while also trying to avoid those around him as well. Oh, Dogs! Dogs has had a moment coming out of turn 8. Looks like he's avoided contact with the wall, but he's definitely had contact with the gravel trap. As Danskar and Jacko. Danskar having just pitted on fresh rubber. Like, look at that tyre. Look at that front left on Jacko's Ferrari. It is not in a pretty state. It just shows you the degradation and the wear of these super soft tyres. Has not been fantastic, and Morris might have run off the track a little bit there. Has to be careful. Well, Jacko, he'll surely come into the pits and exchange that set. No, he's going to continue on. That's an interesting one. As Alex, there's a nice little battle here. Reese, Judge and Alex all scrapping for P13. Here we go, here's a better battle though. Jacko and Baza, look at the amount of straight line speed difference, and Morris squeezes his car down the inside of both of them. It goes down the inside. Can he make this move stick? It's be a fantastic move if he can. What a fantastic double overtake from Morris there, in a gap that probably shouldn't have existed, and where one probably shouldn't send a car. He has tucked a beautiful move through and moves up into 7, and it will be 6th soon as they get by Murdoch's Ghost car. Yellow flag in sector 3. Not too sure what that's about, as Rob has come into the pits to replace that wing. Meanwhile, Plays very, very close to Mr. Crumpet in second, 14 seconds behind Pinsky, so that's kind of showing you the pace that Pinsky has here. And that's just these guys overtaken. Oh, there's a car off the track, and that is Dogs again. So Dogs struggling to keep the car on the track at this stage of the race. Again, it's that one area of the track where trouble does come. What a fantastic run out of turn 16 for Plays. Overtake mode enabled, DRS enabled. Closing, Crumpet isn't fighting this too much. And down the inside goes Plays. And he makes that move very easy in the end, so Plays was up to P2 then ahead of Crumpet. And Jacko is finally trading in those battered super softs. Medium's going on that car, so he's going to try go to the end if he can. It's easier said than done. He tried to do something similar, I believe, in China, and that didn't exactly work out for him. So I'm interested to see if it works out for him here. He's going to emerge in around P13 on those mediums. The gap at the front is 16 seconds Pinsky has, but over the likes of Morris and Danskar it's around 20 or so. Is that enough to come back, to come in, to come back out in front? I don't think so at this stage. I think you need 22 odd seconds or so to make a stop around Spain and still retain your position. It's going to be close. He's got very good pace at this stage of the race as Pinsky. Already through turn 1. So I think the longer these two fight, Crumpet and Plays, the more Plays into the hands of those behind as well, as Plays has gone defensive. Forcing Crumpet to drive on the outside. He will have the racing line. That won't be enough to keep him or to propel him into that P2 at the moment, as Dogs is into the pits. So the field has spread out just a little bit now. Lap 9 at 33 has spread out a bit. Got a few people yet to make stops, so once they do, I think we'll see things close up a bit more. But for now, just a little bit of a lull in this race as the strategies are all kind of assembling, coming together in one kind of pool. And Dogs looks like he's going to come out behind Jacko and ahead of Judge, so he pops into P13 then. I think John, meanwhile, as he's come into his 2-stop really. Let's kind of evaluate where everyone's at the moment. So John has made a stop, soft tyres, he's on a 2-stop. Danskar, soft tyres, 2-stop. Morris, soft tyres, 2-stop. Safe to assume. Reese, soft tyres at the 2-stop. Dogs more than likely, that's a 2-stop as well on kind of the softs. So we're seeing lots of different strategies here, whereas we know the likes Smudge will try and take those tyres to the end. They'll be battered, but he's going to try go to the end. Alex probably won't be able to get to the end on those. Jacko could probably get to the end on those. So we're seeing lots of different strategies here. And Danskar again fighting back. Well, actually he's just fighting his teammate in general. Actually he's fighting Crumpet, I should say, and he moves up then into P3, so he closed up very quickly in that last lap. I just expected it was the other McLaren that he was fighting, but no, Danskar has got by and he's rapidly closing on his teammate. Of course he has got fresher tyres, and will his teammate fight him too much? I don't think he will. No, slots in then, so Plays moves over, plays the team game for Danskar, who is 19 seconds behind Pinsky. 19-20 seconds, so these are important laps for Danskar if he wants to execute the undercut. But of course we know that he is on a 2-stop, and we expect Pinsky to come in and fit a set of mediums on that Force India. Meanwhile, P6, Baza under pressure from John. There's some overtakes going on behind as well. We'll stick with this one though. Trying to drive on the outside is John. He thought he might try a switch back, but wasn't able to get it done. Murdoch has not been able to rejoin his car, so that's a shame for him. He will continue to slip down further down the field. It's the battle for P6. I think it's going to be actually quite an important battle, because these two are basically, they've got one more stop to make basically. So I think we will see these two again at some point later. But at the moment, I think John is in the winning battle, given that his tyres are 5 laps fresher than Baza's. Of course, Baza starting on those soft compound tyres, so trying to stretch them as long as he can. As Murdoch looks like he has been able to rejoin and he is coming into the pits. Or it's a ghost. Oh, it's a ghost still. My apologies. And of course, as I say that, John swoops around the outside of Baza to take P6. Isn't that just typical? Thanks. Appreciate that. I love missing overtakes for 2 seconds when the battle has gone nowhere for the last few laps. But it is going somewhere though. Morris is he's going to go down the inside of Mr. Crumpush. And of course Morris has made a stop. Crumpush has not. And a very easy overtake in the end. You know, you can get after plays in P3. I think this whole bunch we could see again later, because they all have one stop to make basically this stage. IndyCar has got no stop to make plays. They're all on softs, so they all have got stops to make again. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where they all feed out. Different strategies for sure as Baza dives into the pits. 10 laps he took those tyres as plays. Just, got by. And actually, is Morris going to let him go? Some interesting racing going on here between Plays and Morris Minor. There's Morris Minor into third then. Some changes happening throughout the field. Oh, Reese has been off the track. You can tell. We'll stick with this battle though. Battle for P3. Plays Morris Minor and Crumpush. Not much separating them. But Morris's tyres are a little bit older, or a little newer I should say, as Reese is out of the session. I'm not sure where that happened. I expect possibly, well, it says sector 3, as Pinsky's into the pits. Here we go then. The race leader is into the pits. I don't think he'll be able to retain his lead, but he's still in a very, very good position regardless. Medium tyres going onto the car. So down the main straight then comes IndyCar, and he will get by. But of course has another stop to make. Will Pinsky get out in front of Morris? He will. So that is Morris then into, well, he stays in P3. Pinsky re-emerges in P2 then. Mr. Crumpush comes in, changes that front wing, and puts on a set of soft compound tyres. So that's interesting. I said mediums would probably go to the end, but who wants a set of those? He will come out ahead of this battle though between his teammate and Baza. Just about, there he is. You can see it there. As Pinsky then has popped out just under 5 seconds behind IndyCar. These mediums will take a little bit to heat up, maybe half a lap or so. And then after that, Pinsky will begin to reel in that McLaren, and we shall see what he can do once he gets there. We've got a push and match here between Dogs and Baza, and looks like it says AI over Baza, so but his car is still solid and very aggressive in his defence, positioning his car a little bit sketchily. And that is preventing Dogs from getting by at the current moment, but will that last? As out of turn 9 they go with the DRS as well. Just taking his time. As John switches to the right then and performs an excellent overtake on Plays, and that moves John up into P4 then. So Plays going backwards. Of course, Plays has not made a stop yet on those 13 lap old softs, and surely within the next lap or two he will be into the pits to shed those and pull a set of mediums, and how sweet they will feel, I'm sure. And it's like Smudge is going to overtake him very soon as well. Dogs finally gets by Baza. Is there any defence to be had for Baza? He's trying. He's in overtaking, he's weaving, he's shaking that steering wheel, so he's not happy with something that has occurred, either throughout the battle or the overtake itself. But it is Dogs into P10 then, knocking Baza out of the points for the time being. Yellow flag in sector 3. Not sure what that's for. Oh, the judge has had an accident coming into the pit lane. That's what's happened. That is what's happened. He's missing his front wing, the right hand side of it. So disappointing moment for the judge. The field has spread out. Penske is closing that gap to Danskar, and it's just at the fastest lap, 21.8, 2.9 seconds behind, as Plays finally comes into the pits to get rid of those softs. So he took him a long way, and now his reward will be a nice set of mediums that can go to the end. And slowly pop out. Nose change happening on that car as well. Of course, he did know he had damage earlier. And he should really pop out. He'll be close to Dogs. Very, very close. There he is. Looks like it's just going to be enough, is it, for Plays to keep himself in P9? Yes, it is, but has to get those mediums up to temperature. Of course, these softs are already up and working at their optimal range. Will that be enough to reel Dogs in as those tyres get warmed up? I think Plays is safe, so he merges in P9 then. And looks like it's set for some points here today, if he can keep it going as is. Of course, there are people in front of him who will have to stop again. You know, the gap has just come down rapidly now, that last lap. Now 1.2 seconds, 21.7 for Penske. He is pumping those laps in, and sooner rather than later you will imagine he will retake that lead, and who will stop him then? Is there anyone that can stop Penske? Today, more than likely not, other than a safety car, which doesn't seem to be appearing. We've had a virtual safety car, of course, earlier for the lap 1 chaos between Rixie, Insane Rampage and Pro Opa, but nothing since, as John hunting down Morris. That Force India is growing ever closer in the rearview mirror of that McLaren. It's only a matter of time as Dogs comes into the pits from his position and should pop out P11 or 12. Smudge getting close to John. We have a look down the inside, got to try around the outside. Much later on the brakes is the Renault than the Haas. But Sector 3, a very difficult part of the track to overtake unless you make a mistake, so I can't imagine he'll find a way through here. But I will certainly imagine Penske will find a way through here. No DRS for Danskar. He's 3/10 back. He should be making this move simple enough in the end. He's not going to fight this too hard. Very, very late pull out. But down the inside goes Penske, and he retakes the lead of the race, and surely you would imagine that's a straightforward result from there. Morris into the pits, John into the pits. Similar strategies between the two. Medium tyres going on both of those cars, and where will they feed out? We'll be close to Crumpet. Bit of a late getaway though from John. Not sure if he had to change a wing there. So Morris, oh, Dogs is out of the race. There he is. The wall of down the straight of turn after turn 9 when they approach to turn 10. And Crumpet's out of the race, and he's binned it coming out of turn 2. That's a surprising place to lose it. Was there a contact? He was going to be very close between himself and John, I believe. No damage on that Haas. Runs a bit wide through turn 4 though. Has to be careful because he's got a lap car in front of him and Jacko just behind him. Has to tread very, very carefully now. So 2 retirements on that lap alone. No safety cars. Danskar is into the pits. So of course couldn't take those tyres for very long. He's coming into the pits. Said mediums can go in that car, and he will be carried to the end of the race from there. Lap 18 of 33. We're over halfway now. Medium tyres then, as the majority of the field are on now at this stage. It's the only race tyre really that you should concern yourself with. And he's going to come out in a very handsome P3. Just about. There is Alex. Although Alex was running very, very far on those mediums. Came in lap 1 or 2. And he'll have to make another stop. They will not last to the end of the race. Meanwhile, Jacko trying to navigate traffic. The judge has got to get out of the way. He's impeding the progress of this Ferrari. You can see the dirty air. What's that doing? What's it doing to Jacko's downforce? Force him to understeer a bit more. And really, judge he's got to get out of the way. This is pretty poor from a back marker to be holding up a car like this, and he runs wide, and Jacko almost understeers into him almost. That's the effect the dirty air has. And he's lost a good chunk of time as Jacko. He will not be too pleased with that, driving from a back marker. He's got a lot of work to do again to try and close up to John. To be fair though, actually, he probably won't even close up to John, because you can see the tyre difference. 10 lap old mediums compared to John's fresh medium, so really not much he can do after that. But what has happened is it has pushed Plays right into Jacko's rear view mirror, and again, fresher tyres for Plays. It will be difficult for that Ferrari to keep that McLaren at bay. Lovely camera shot here of the front wing. Shame it didn't last a bit longer, but this battle won't last too much longer. And DRS down the main straight, and Plays will move into a very simple P7, and has even room to move back over to the racing line before he breaks for turn 1. And there you go, a simple move in the end for Plays. And next up, he can see if he can catch John. Similar strategies between the two laps out in terms of pit stops. And let's see if he can make any inroads on that Haas. Things have spread out a bit, unfortunately. Got busy there for a period of the race, and they're kind of waiting for some of these two stoppers to make their second stop. Smudge will have to come in again. Same, well, more than likely. I mean, it's a big ask to get those tyres 28 laps. Doable, of course, but I think he will be susceptible to being caught from behind. Danskar, I think in particular, is going to be catching him hand over fist on those fresh mediums. See if Alex and Smudge can get to the end on those. Would be a great result if they could, but a lot of time between now and then, and a lot of defending possibly as well. So Pinsky then leads by 12 seconds. He's been in command really from the start. Well, I wouldn't say command, he did lose 2 positions, but really he was always in the driving seat with the soft compound tyres compared to the likes of Danskar and Morris, who did have super softs on. Their advantage was always going to be brief if they did gain on lap 1, and that's what happened. They did gain on lap 1, but their advantage and their success was short-lived in the race lead. And it didn't take long for the supers to fall away, and for Pinsky then to come back into the fold. And really, ever since then, it's been a very, very simple drive since. Very commanding drive, and I think it's going to get even bigger, this margin of victory, before all is said and done. Well, Jacko has called to the backup Plays. Not sure how. Wing looks okay. Jacko on a lot older tyres than Plays. A lot older. 7 laps older mediums that car has over that McLaren. But he is within DRS, so I'm not sure what happened with Plays, if he had an incident somewhere or a back marker or something, because the pace isn't there, and he's fallen quite a ways of John as well. I think he's made a mistake somewhere and has lost a lot of ground as a result. They file their way through the final chicane. I don't think Jacko is in a position to make an overtake here. Depends how much ERS Plays is using. He isn't high, and the slipstream DRS and the ERS is going to play into Jacko's hand. Oh, tries to switch to the inside as a late decision, and he's bullied his way past Plays and takes P7. So really, really struggling in his Plays at the moment. Perhaps he just didn't expect the Ferrari to really try and fight him. Either way, he's got a position to make up now as a result, and wastes no time in retaking it. Running wide a bit through turn 4 was Jacko. And then an easy move then for Plays to nip back through. So short-lived joy then for Jacko. He falls back into P8. We'll stick with this battle. It's the only one on track at the moment. Sadly, although Smudge is coming into the pits, so Smudge is unable to take those tyres the rest of the way, and I think Alex will have the same fate soon. Soft compound tyres going on dash Renault. Where will he feed out? If he isn't in P4, he will be in P5, as Baza has left the session. So the two Mercedes, looks like they've disconnected. P5 then for Smudge, he emerges just behind Morris. So it looks like it'll be a double disconnect for the Mercedes gang. Not an ideal result for them, and they'll fall further back in the constructors' fight. But a shame, because they've had pace to have some good results, but disconnections for both of them have cost them quite dearly this season so far, and that trend continues. Flag in sector 1. Oh, and that's because the judge is off the track. Had a spin coming out of turn 2, so that's where that has happened. And look at that, 23.2 seconds. Danscar will close that down, given that his tyres are fresher, but still, that just shows you. Excuse me, that just shows you Pinsky, his strategy and his pace today, very, very strong. As Alex continues to go around. To be honest, I thought of the two that could make it to the end possibly. I thought Smudge would go to the end rather than Alex, because Alex pitted lap 2 basically on those mediums. But perhaps he's just waiting to drag this out long enough so a set of supers rather can bolt on that car and blitz in some qualifying laps at the end, rather than the soft compound type. We shall find out. You'd imagine if he's going to pit, it's going to be sooner rather than later. And I think within the next lap or two, we will see Alex into the pits. Well, Smudge, as a back marker to navigate, hasn't made a ton of time on Morris just yet. Fresher tyres, softer compound, still 2.1 seconds, 2 seconds behind. So now that he's clear traffic, though, I expect now he will begin to catch that Toro Rosso, and then soon think about shaping a move down one of the two DRS zones here at Barcelona. Lap 24 of 33, well over halfway now, enter the final third of the race. A very simple drive for Pinsky so far. Alex continues to go around for another lap, so interesting choice. As now in the DRS zone is Smudge, so once he cleared Ant of, or once he cleared Rob, he made his way very, very quickly to that Toro Rosso, and very simple move in the end. Nothing that Morris can really do about it. The tyres just aren't there for him to fight with. And that is Smudge then into P4, and he could even get back to this podium very easily, because Alex is ahead of him on 22 lap old mediums, which is going to be hard enough in itself to keep behind, and that's if he doesn't have to pit. I assume he is going to pit again. So Smudge has literally lost nothing out of this in the end. He can set off now. 4 seconds is his gap to Alex in third, but I suspect before that happens he will be into the pits. We'll stick with it though. As he makes his way through the... Oh dear God, my apologies. I have dropped the cup. Oh dear, let's look at that after the race. I'm so sorry, that was probably the loudest thing imaginable. My bad. As Smudge sets the fastest lap of the race, 20.6. Oh dear. Closing in rapidly is Alex. On Alex rather is Smudge. Already sticking out a 2 second gap. Sorry, I'm sorry. That was nothing I could do. That has made me incredibly sad. That's one of my good mugs. Oh no. To be honest, I'm glad it happened in the sense that nothing is going on in this race at the moment. We're just waiting for a few cars to kind of close up, and just waiting. We're at the wrong car. 2.7 seconds, so he's gaining quite quickly. I still expect this has to come into the pits though. This would be a mega job if you could carry this to the end and still finish 4th or 5th, because behind Smudge, Morris is 3 seconds, and then 4.5 back is John. So it's a long way. When your tires are worn as badly as this, as badly as those mediums, I'm sure are. You know, once you start going backwards, it happens very, very quickly. 22.6 for Alex, 21.1 for Smudge. So obviously the pace difference is clear to see. You only need to look at the graphic for confirmation of that. 20 lap fresher tires and on a softer compound. I'm really sorry about that. That's probably so loud. I'll try and get on with it. So sadly, this race is it was entertaining in parts, but it's kind of petered out somewhat. We might have 1 or 2 late moves on, but other than that, unlikely to see a whole lot change. Haven't seen a ton of penalties either, though I'm sure 1 or 2 are knocking around. But to be honest, it doesn't look like it will change a lot, because really there's only one gap that is below 3 seconds, and it's the gap we are currently watching dwindle further. Smudge just 1.2 seconds behind Alex. And I'm sure he senses a podium in the making, because really there's no defense that Alex has when this Renault catches. Now he is within that DRS zone. The activation point, look at them squirming that back end of the Haas. So I assume, because he's taken his tyres this long, Alex is committing till the end of the race and will not be making a second stop, because now we're past the point where he's lost time not pitting and not making the most of those supers or softs that he could have put on. So you can assume he's going to the end of the race. If he isn't, that's an interesting strategy choice. And here we go then. He is right behind them is Smudge. The question is where rather than when. I assume Smudge he just needs to be patient. Traction is clearly better. Again, back end want to step out. The tyres just not wanting to put their foot down. Coming out of corners in the dirty air, just catching Smudge a bit there. But through this corner now, there you see a big difference. But that little mistake there from Smudge while a bit wide is going to prevent him from having to look down the inside into turn 10 as Jacko is into the pits. So Jacko on a late set of softs. Nothing to lose really, he was well behind anyways. So may as well try and set a fastest lap. My question is, why didn't he put on supers if he had any left? But that's just the racer in me. Alex continues to stay out, and the back end again stepping out. But this time Smudge is a lot closer. He pulls out to the right hand side. And we'll move back in. And he seizes P3. And now the interesting part, he is 3.8 seconds behind Danskar. So he could even make his way up to P2 if things go well. Ooh, that was very, very scary there for a sec for Alex. Looked like his car, looked like he ran very, very wide. And with a set of tyres this busted, that would have been curtains. So it would have at 28 of 33. The action begin to wind down. Can Smudge get close to Danskar? Can he do anything about it once he gets there? Pinsky begins lap 29. 22 seconds is his advantage. And really, to be fair, every race Pinsky's been here, which is Azerbaijan and Bahrain, I think we're the only two he's been here for. He missed the other two. He's been by far the quickest driver in ILR6. He would have won Bahrain by an absolute landslide had he not made the strategy blunder in Bahrain and think he had to pit again to serve a 5-second stop go. Would have won by an absolute mile otherwise. As Alex does come into the pits, so he can't. Lap 29, he tried as best as he could to take those tyres to the end, and it hasn't worked out. So he's lost a lot of time, sadly, pedaling those mediums around. And will really come out, he'll come out in 7th place. Though, to be fair, with a few laps remaining, he should be able to close up to the back of Plays and overtake him. And to be honest, the difference between switching to those softs or super softs 4 laps earlier probably isn't the difference between him getting by John. So, or maybe it is, I'm not sure. It probably is now, to take it back into when you factor in a few laps on 2-step softer compound of tyre, and obviously much fresher. Let's see what he can do. He'll certainly have a good shout for fastest lap, but that might not be much consolation to Alex, who was in a good position but just felt that the tyres were a disaster waiting to happen. Well, look, if you see it, call it, come in. You're better off with 6 points than possibly a lot less in the time it takes to puncture, and of course if you can keep the car in a straight line with that puncture. So better safe than sorry, but he has lost quite a bit of time in the process. As he begins lap 30, 1.5 seconds behind. And that gap is going to only decrease. Surely by the end of this lap he'll be in with a great shout to have a look and overtake, I should say. Meanwhile, Smudge has made some inroads on Dan's car, but they haven't been massive, because at this stage now the softs aren't in the most amazing condition. The carcass is susceptible to overheating. That front left, because this is of course a clockwise track, that front left does tend to overheat, and this is the kind of time where it does begin to happen, if it hasn't happened already. I think that has halted his progress slightly, but not completely, continuing to hunt down Dan's car, who is dropping further back now with Pinsky. Take a look at the lap times. Actually, take a look at that lap times in a second, because Plays is under serious pressure from Alex, and it's going to be difficult to orchestrate an overtake here. But again, patience is the name of the game, and he'll know that there will be absolutely zero defence heading down this main straight. He has enough ERS saved, and down the straight he will go. And to the racing line he sticks. And, well, Plays is trying to fight it. He's in overtake mode, but really nothing he can do. And that is Alex. And oh, and Plays is off the track. He's gone extremely wide at turn 2. Thankfully for him, Jacko is yet to even navigate the final corner, so Plays will be just fine. So he will remain in P7, and where he can just limp out the rest of this race. Meanwhile, this gap is closed in a hurry. John and Morris, I had a feeling that these two have mirrored strategies basically, and they're going to be very close to each other at the end of this race as well, as Pinsky has begun the penultimate lap. So these two have shared the same piece of track for a good chunk of this race, and just Morris seems to be struggling with those tyres, are possibly worse for wear in terms of tyre wear than John. And John, can he get an overtake done? We got a beautiful helicopter shot. The DRS is enabled. Getting a good run. Chris is, of course, this is one of the longest straights on the calendar, longest main straights. Pulls out to the right hand side. Tries to move back in, and there you go. He makes that move then into P4. John moves up then. And is looking to claim a nice bag of points. 12 points at this current moment if he continues as he is currently plotting. Pinsky navigates sector 3 for the penultimate time, and I think that is the last of the battles we will see today, barring a mistake, because Smudge hasn't been able to make any inroads on Dan's car these last 2 laps. I think those softs have just about had it. So final lap then for Pinsky. There won't be any podium interviews today because I have to shoot off in a hurry. So apologies for that this week. Next week, Monaco should be okay. An absolutely dominant drive for Penske. He really has. In saying I won't be able to do the podium interviews, I will miss not being able to get to chat with Penske, because he is fun to talk to, and the resemblance to Kimi Räikkönen is uncanny. So unfortunately, I will miss that this week, let alone you watching, I'm sure. So to be fair, Morris not dropping back too far of John, still within 3/10 heading down the main straight. So this fight for fourth possibly isn't over just yet. There could be another twist in the tail for these two, who have been very, very close to each other for most of the afternoon here. We shall see. If there is an overtake to be done, it'll have to be done surely heading down towards turn 10, because otherwise sector 3 difficult to overtake, and then the main straight, the finish line, is very close to the beginning, and that is where Penske is now. An absolutely dominating drive from the Finn. He takes another win in ILR6. A very, very convincing win from Penske today. Fantastic drive from him, and he will take the lead in the driver's standings. Morris isn't close enough to John. He will not be able to make that position on track as Danskar navigates the final corner. 2 slot for Danskar today. It's been good enough for P2, and he seems to be happy enough with that. Smudge comes across the line in third. Good result for him. As John then comes across the line ahead of Morris in 5th. Alex will come across the line in 6th. I want to see the position change. There we go. So John then, a great start from him. Obviously opening lap got him up to 6th, and then he made quick work after that and finished 4th in the end. So good drive from John. I did question his tyre selection at the beginning. Well, you have to say it looked like it paid off for him in the end. Plays finished in 7th. Good result from him. Start from the back, having been disqualified. Rob and Baza round out the points, 9th and 10th. They are a lap down, so they are finished. And Jacko then will come across in 8th place to round off this Spanish Grand Prix. Not too bad, entertaining at parts, but of course Spain, it is one of those tracks where things can kind of spread out, and overtaking can be difficult at times. I think you got to see a bit of both today. But there is no letting up for the Finn. Penske takes another victory in ILR6, 2nd on the bounce, and heading into Monaco. Can he make it 3 in a row? What a track to make it 3 in a row. Should he win that race as well? But of course, that's for then. This is for now, and I'm sure he'll enjoy a very handsome result around this Barcelona circuit. So then Penske takes the win ahead of Danskar and Smudge in 3rd, John 4th, Morris 5th, Alex 6th, place 7th, Jacko 8th, Rob 9th, and Baza 10th, rounding out the points. Just take a quick check for any unserved stop goes. Nope, nothing today. So that's going to do it for round number 5 of Inside Line Racing from Spain. Apologies, I can't do podium interviews today. Not only have I got to clean up the shards of glass that this cup that I dropped during the race, but I do the shoot off today, unfortunately. So next up though is Monaco for ILR6, but here at Inside Line Racing you can watch the ILR 3 and 4 divisions have their way around this track. So hope you enjoy that, and until next time.